Welcome parents to Mr. McFarland's 6th grade science. This is a little bit of a low-tech approach to things. You'll see why we have to go kind of low-tech in just a moment. Apologize I can't be with you tonight because I'm going to be in San Antonio, Texas, seeing my son graduate from the Air Force basic training. So I felt kind of compelled that I should be there. So I'll just introduce myself and we'll get right to showing you a few things here about 6th grade science this year. Welcome all parents, and I'm glad to see everybody come tonight. Just a little history on this drawing. I had a 6th grade student draw this for me, and I think they must have been reflecting back in time 30 years ago, or maybe they saw Mr. Trio in the hallway, because I certainly don't look like that. But anyway, let's start with a tour of the room. As you can see, the walls are filled with learning. And I like to tell my students that the reason that the walls are so covered with different things is they're themed. Botany over here. Here's our aquaponics tank that we're going to eventually have set up, where we'll grow plants and fish together and do a little aquaculture system, learn about the nitrogen cycle. These walls over here have to do with doing science and learning about variables. This wall here has to do with, as you can see, the Pymatuming Lab of Ecology, which we will be traveling to later in the year to do some ecological investigations. And this entire wall back here has to do with ecology because that's a very large part of our curriculum. We also have a wall here that has to do with cells, DNA, and genetics, which is another very large part of our curriculum this year. So what do the students get to see when they walk in the door each day? Well, they see these walls and they see, of course, me, Mr. McFarland. Okay? And I'm just going to walk you through a few things here and talk to you a little bit about what the students are going to do this year. So please be patient as I walk up to the smartboard here and change the slide. If you can take a look what's in the curriculum web. Well, if we take a look at what's in the curriculum web, we see that we're going to be spending a lot of time getting the fundamentals of what life actually is, and we're going to use the microscope to prepare to look at microscopic life right at the beginning of the year. The microscope that we're going to use is this particular scope right here. This scope is called the compound light microscope, and the students will learn how to resolve images with this. We'll look at all different kinds of microscopic life when we're trying to learn about what life is made up of, cells of course, and how those cells organize themselves. Another microscope that we'll use is this one over here, which is the stereo microscope, or sometimes called the dissecting scope. As you can see, it's binocular. What you can't see is this is used for opaque objects that do not transmit light. Now there's all different kinds of living things we're going to look at, but we're going to look primarily how living things can either be single-celled, colonial-celled, or if they can organize themselves into multi-celled organisms. Now, that'll take quite a bit of time at the beginning of the year, but then we're going to be moving into cell structure. And when we're looking at cell structure and DNA structure, students are going to have a lot of different opportunities. Again, we'll be looking and using the various kinds of microscopes, but we'll also have the opportunity to do some modeling with these kits that were purchased. They're Connects kits, they're education kits on DNA, and the students will actually construct DNA double helices. But something new this year that we're going to be doing through the University of Pittsburgh's biological outreach is something called the strawberry caper. And we'll be using this particular piece of equipment called an electrophoresis chamber. What the students are going to have the opportunity to do is they're going to pretend that they're in a mock trial where one particular farmer claims that another particular farmer stole their particular strawberry plants. And they'll have a chance to extract DNA right out of strawberries, amplify it in a particular tool called a PCR, and then run it in a flash gel electrophoresis chamber and use some of the equipment that I'm going to zoom in on here, like micropipetters and flash gel electrophoresis chambers. But the most interesting part about this that I find with students is that they truly enjoy spooling it out. And I have a picture on the board here, and I hope it comes out, of a student who has spooled out DNA and has it on the stick. When they first see that DNA on that stick, it really makes the DNA concrete to them, not something that's abstract. We'll be moving into botany after that, and we'll really be putting our experimental design skills to work. And the students will have the opportunity to set up an experiment by identifying the variables that grow Brassica rapa plants. They'll pick one of those variables, change the variable, and see how it affects and impacts the life cycle. We'll be growing those particular plants in light boxes like these right here, and we'll grow them in a device called a quad, which looks something like this. Each student will get a chance to grow 4 plants, and they'll either be part of the control or the experimental group. Lastly, in the year, we'll be spending some time in ecology, and we'll do some behavioral studies. So I'm sorry about the camera work here, but I'm trying to walk around the room and get your pictures of various things. We're going to be doing some behavioral studies with cockroaches this year. Yes, cockroaches. And that'll give you the students opportunity to see both behavioral and structural adaptations of these cockroaches, which are amazing in their ability to adapt to their surroundings. And lastly, one of the creatures that we'll be using this year is the hydrozoan called the green hydrozoan. And this is found right in Edinburgh Lake, so it's waiting for you there. Looks pretty ominous, but unfortunately it's only about 3 millimeters long, so you don't have to worry too much. I hope you enjoyed your time with me tonight. Hope you got a feel for the room. Go Pitt Panthers, my alma mater. And hopefully give you a little feel for what's going to happen in the classroom this year. Enjoy.